All right, lesson 16. Here we go. Priya is looking at this inequality, and she says, I subtract a number from 12 and want a result that is bigger than 5. That kind of, I subtract a number from 12 and I want something that's bigger than 5. That means that the solutions should be values of x that are smaller than something. Okay. Do we agree with Priya? Explain your reasoning and include solutions to the inequality in your explanation. Okay. So if I want it to be bigger than 5 when I take it away, it does make sense that I want those to be smaller, because if that takeaway is too big, it's not going to stay bigger than 5, right? So I agree. I'm going to say yes. Okay. Because taking away larger x's prevents me from staying above 5, like the number 10, for example. It's a larger number. I don't want to get too large, because if I do 12 minus 10, it's not greater than 5. It doesn't work, right? So we want to keep our numbers small. We want to keep them like 2, 3, and actually 0 and negative numbers, because if you take away negative numbers, it's actually going to make 12 bigger, because subtracting a negative increases its value. So that's why what Priya says makes sense. Makes perfect sense. All right. Number 2, when a store had sold 2/5 of the shirts that were on display, they brought out another 30 from the stockroom. The store likes to keep at least 150 shirts on display. So the manager wrote this inequality to describe the situation. 3/5 of x plus 30 is greater than or equal to 150 to describe this situation. What is the 3/5 meaning in this inequality? Well, it's the 3/5 are the shirts that were on display that didn't sell. Shirts on display that didn't sell, because 2 out of the 5 parts were sold. That leaves us with 3 out of the 5, because 2/5 plus 3/5 is a whole 1. So 100%. So this is the fraction that did not get sold that were on display. And then they brought in another 30. That's what the plus 30 represents. So, and then we wanted to keep that over 150 or at least. So let's solve it. Let's solve this. We got 3/5 x plus 30 is greater or equal to 150. So when we solve, we got to get rid of that 30 first. So actually, let's treat it like it's an equation. Sorry, I didn't do that first. We'll make that an equation. Take away the 30. That gives us 120. And to get rid of this, multiply by 3/5. We're going to take our total and divide it by those 3/5. So 120 divided by 3/5. Let's go to our calculator by that. 120 divided by 3/5. So 120 divided by 3/5. 200. All right, so let's go back. X is 200. Now remember, X was representing the shirts that were on display, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We've solved it. It's 200, but we haven't decided if it's a greater than or less than kind of thing. So let's go back and do a test with 0. 3/5 of x. Let's make x 0. If we put in 0, we get 30. Is 30 bigger than 150? No. So 0 is not a choice. So we want to go bigger, because less than numbers would be including 0. So we want greater than or equal to 200. So x is greater than or equal to 200. Explain what the solution means. That means that we want to have 200 or more shirts originally on display. That way we don't get below that 150 line by selling 2/5 of them. And that finishes off that problem. Let's move on to the third one. Solve the inequality and graph its solution on a number line. All right, so I think there was supposed to be a greater than symbol here, and it has an equation. So it's supposed to say greater than. So let's, if you, nobody's asked me about that yet because probably haven't many of them got there, but that's supposed to be greater than. So let's solve it like it was an equation, and then we'll talk about the greater than part. So let's treat it like it was equal to -8. Subtract our 7 to get rid of the 7 on both sides. -8 take away 7 is -15. And then if 3 x's are worth 15, that means the x's must be worth 5. And it doesn't need to be positive because a negative times a positive is a negative. So our answer is 5, but let's do a 0 test to see if 0 is part of the solution. Is that bigger than -8? Well, that's 0. 7 is bigger than -8. So yes, 0 works. So let's go to our solution. Draw a number line. We know that our answer is 5. We know that it's an or equal to, so we want to shade it in. And we just proved that 0 does make it a solution, so we want to shade that way. So that tells me that I want x's that are less or equal to the number 5, like 0 and 1 and 2, and now all the negatives. All right, last problem of your homework. The price tag on a shirt says $12.58. Sales tax is 7.5% of the price. How much will you pay for the shirts? All right, let's do some percentage tables. All right, so percent and price for these. The percent, the original price is 100%, and that's $12.58. And we're going to do a sales tax of 7.5%. How much will you pay for the shirt? So they're including the tax here, so that's going to be 107.5% when you add the extra 7.5 to the 100. And we just got to find the constant and multiply it here. Right? So the constant is 12.58 divided by 100, which is just going to move your decimal over twice. So 1258. We just got to do 1258 multiplied by 107.5, and we'll have our answer. So let's go do that. 1258, 107.5. All right. So 0.1258 multiplied by 107 half. And we've got to round to the nearest cent. So that 3, we'll keep that at 52. So $13.52. $13.52. And that's our answer for part A. Let's go to part B. Part B says the store buys a helmet for $19 and they sell it for $31.50. What percent was the markup? All right, let's do another table for their markup. Originally, the 100% price was the wholesale price, which was $19. But they want to make some money off of it, so they mark it up to $31.50. The question is, how much did they mark it up? So we can find that by doing a constant of proportionality. 19 divided by 100 is 1900ths. So that's our constant to get from left to right. But we want to go right to left. So we want to take this dollar amount and divide by 1900ths. So $31.50 divided by 1900ths. Let's go do that. $31.50 50 divided by 1900ths. All right, so let's round this to the nearest whole. So let's say 166. It's pretty close to 166. So we're going to go 166 as our round there. And that tells me that they marked it up about 66%. So about 66% markup from where it was originally, from 100 to 166. All right, part C. Last one. The shop pays workers $14.25 per hour plus a 5.5% commission. If someone works 18 hours and sells $250 worth of merchandise, what is the total amount of their paycheck for this pay period? Explain or show your reasoning. Well, let's do the 18 hours first. So if I get paid $14.25 an hour and I work 18 hours, that's simple multiplication. So let's do that real quick. 14.25 and 18. 14.25. 18 times, 18 hours worth, $256.50. So $256.50 just for working my time. But the second half of this is a percentage set. It's a percentage. So I get a percent commission. I get based off 100% of what I sell, which in this case is $250. I get to keep 5.5%. So let's find out how much that is worth by doing a little quick math. Clearly here, our constant of proportionality, we do 250 divided by 100 is 2.5. So we can find how much money we're going to need to keep by doing 5.5 times 2.5. So 5.5 times 2.5. Let's go there and do that. So 5.5 times 2.5. And that gives me $13.75. So I get to keep $13.75 of that, plus the money I make from working, $13.75. 5, 12, carry the 1, 9, 10, carry the 1, 6, 7, into $270.25. And that's my answer for part C. And that is your homework. Y'all have a good rest of the week.